Hey there, in this video, I'm going to show you how I made this composition notebook design in Photoshop in under 5 minutes. Now, I'm going to go ahead and minimize this photo here and then pull back up Photoshop. And as you can see, here it is, but we are going to start from a blank screen. So first off, I already have the background and the lines opened here that I got over from Creative Fabrica. Go check them out. So first, we are going to start with a new document here. Now, you will want to make sure that you have the correct sizing for this. So I already know my 6x9 120 page count cream paper is going to be a 12.550 by 9.250 at 300 resolution for this design. So we're going to go ahead and click OK. But if you go ahead and head on over to kdp.amazon.com/en_us/cover-templates, then you will get to this screen. So you can select your trim size here, which will be 120 page or a 6x9. You can set your page count, which will be 120, and then you can choose your color paper, your paper color, I should say, and this will be your template that you download. So we're going to go ahead and select cream paper here. We will download this. It will give us a zip file. And from here, you will see a PDF and a PNG. I'm just going to grab the PDF out and throw it on my desktop. And I will now open that in Photoshop. So if we open this in Photoshop here, like so, now we have our cover template. Now, you will see the peach colored, I can never think of the color when I'm recording these videos, but this peachy color, salmon color outline on the book. This is going to be your bleed area. It's actually considered red on here, but the black dotted line is your trim size. The blue dotted line is your spine. So right here is going to be your spine. Your white area is going to be the live area, and then red/peach/salmon, however you see it, is going to be your bleed/out of live zone. So first off, what I'm going to do over here in Photoshop, I'm going to move my picture a little, is I want to have the rulers out. So if you're on a Mac, it is Command R. If you're on a PC, it is Control R. So I'm going to pull out my rulers here, and I'm going to go ahead and bring out some guidelines, and I'm just going to line them up with all of the lines on this template. So you just go over to your ruler, left click, and then drag out until you are on that line. Same thing with the top and bottom. It's the same process all the way around. So then once you get this done, you know where your spine is, you know where your edges are, and you don't have to get too close to them ever. And actually, I need to move this one up just a hair. And then what I like to do is actually bring out another line right in the middle at 75%. This will split your cover perfectly in half, so then you know where the center of your front cover is. So now at this point, I'm going to actually just go ahead and create a new layer, and I will delete this background. So from here, I'm going to go ahead and bring on over my background that I would like to use here, which is going to be right here. So we are going to go ahead and open up this. We are going to unlock it. The layer will be locked if you open up a lot of ideas or a lot of pictures. So you'll have to unlock the layer, which I do by unlocking it. I'll pull out my move tool, which is called V, or it's the keyboard command V, or you can select it over here on the left-hand side for the move tool, and I will left click, drag, and I will drop it on over. Now, I am no expert in Photoshop. I can just create things that I need to have created. So I'm just going to shrink this one down until it is proportion, and now it is still a square like before. So now we are here, and you're probably thinking, okay, Jacob, but that is not an entire cover. That's taking up a little over a quarter of the screen. You're correct. I'm going to right click on this layer, and I'm going to duplicate it. I'm going to click OK, and now I'm going to drag it up and just realign it back with what is already there. So if we zoom in here, you can tell that it lines up just about perfectly. You want to make sure that you are lining up correctly. Otherwise, it will not look that good. So we're going to come up in here, and then we're just going to drag this down until, boom, perfect. And I do this by looking at the cloud here. I was looking at the cloud to make sure it lined up perfectly. So this is how you can create simple backgrounds without having to stretch it or do anything of that sort. I like to keep the clouds and the rainbows small. Now I'm going to duplicate I'm actually going to merge these layers together. So I'm going to merge visible. I'm going to now duplicate this layer and I'm going to drag it across like so. And I'm just going to reline up everything just like this past time. So I'm going to be looking at the clouds, make sure that they flow smoothly. There shouldn't be any cracks. If I move this, you can see exactly where we are at here. And I actually need to keep moving over just a little bit more, about like so. So at this point, I now have my background created, and I'm just going to merge these together again so my background becomes one. So now, how do we get from this to this? We now have our background created. So from here, I'm actually going to change my grid line colors, which you can do by File, or actually I mean Edit, Preferences, Guides, Grids, and Slices. A window will pop up and you will see guides, and we will change this to black just so it's a little bit more visible within this document. So from here, it's time to create our box. So what we're going to do is down here on the left-hand side, it will probably be rectangle for you if you're new to Photoshop. You will left click and hold and come over to rounded rectangle tool. Now what I'm going to do here is just left click and drag a box that I think looks good, and you can always resize this later on. So from here, you can see, okay, it's a black box. It has white dots all around it. This looks nothing like it. So if you see this black box here or any color, we can come in and select the color we want to use. Next, we need to change it from a dotted stroke outline to a clean line outline. So now we have our clean rectangle box, but it's not very rounded yet. So if you go ahead and left click on either of these four boxes here, it will go ahead and start to round them. And if this is checked, then it will do them all at once, like so. If it is not checked, it will only do one corner at a time. So make sure that it is all linked together. So let's go ahead and change these all back to the same. And we actually need to unselect this box, change this back to 26, 26, 26. And then what we are going to do is reselect this box, and we're just going to give it a nice little rounded edge to it, probably around the 50 mark. So at this point, if we click enter on your keyboard, you will now see that we have a nice rounded box. Now, you're probably thinking, okay, that box looks awful. It does. It's not centered yet. So if you hit Command T on a Mac or Control T on a Windows computer, you will go into free transform mode. You now can simply click and drag this box wherever you would like it. So I'm just going to center it up on this black line because we know that is the center of our cover. And we are going to click enter once again. Now, if you noticed here, this box has a nice little outline on it just to kind of make it stand apart from the cover. So what you have to do to get that feature is right click on your layer with the rounded rectangle, go to blending options, and then you will want to come down to outer glow. So I selected the pink from the rainbow, but first off, blend mode. If you are doing this for the first time, it might be under like lighten or soft print or something different. Make sure this is on normal. Next, your opacity is how bright do you want that line to be? Do you want it to be completely solid, or do you want it to be visible or transparent in a way? Noise, this is going to be, think of like a old static TV. The more noise in it, the more static look it has. Next is going to be your color. If you left click on that box with the color in it, you will notice a color picker pops up, and you can either enter your code. If you have a special code you would like to use as a color, you can drag all around within the color box up and down to get any color you would like. Or if there's a color on your cover that you have open, or an image you have open, you can select that color with the eyedropper. So it's automatic. As soon as you move out from the color picker tool, you will notice that an eyedropper comes up, and you can select any color on here. So if we click white, it'll turn to white. If we click the blue, it'll turn to blue. I'm just going to go ahead and take this pink here, and we are going to select OK. Now, next is going to be your spread. Okay, this is going to be how far the spread is on the line. So how long does it take to become a solid thing, or do you want it to fade out? So if I increase my size here for you to see, at 100%, it's a solid box. But if we start to turn it down, you'll see it has a glow to it. But we're going to keep the spread at 100%, and we are going to take the size way down just so it has a nice little outline on it, right around 8 pixels. So at this point, we can click OK. Next is adding the text. So here, primary composition notebook. We will now add in that text. So we will select T on our keyboard, or you can select the text tool on the left-hand side, and we will click anywhere you would like within your image. Now, I'm going to go ahead and write primary, and I'm going to do this in all capital letters here, primary composition notebook. And you're probably thinking, okay, this text is huge. I don't need it that big. You are correct. Up on the left-hand side in the top bar, you will notice a number, and this is going to be your text size. And you can scroll this down, or you can go back into free transform mode by hitting Control-T on a Windows or Command-T on a Mac. And you can now drag it to whatever size you would like it to be. But for this one, I'm just going to go ahead and free transform it down to a nice size. We will center it up here, and we will click enter. I'm actually going to bring this down just a hair, just so it's not right up against that top part. And now it is centered, so we click enter. Now we have our text there. Next, I'm going to bring over some lines I created earlier by simply just bringing out my brush tool, which is B, holding shift and drawing a line, and then repeating it all the way down until you have 3 nice or 4 nice equally spaced lines like so. There's other ways to do this. This is just one of the simpler ways. Like I said, I am no Photoshop expert by any means. I simply can do what I need to do in Photoshop, and that is just about as far as I can go. So I'm going to pull out my move tool again. I'm going to left click on the lines, and then I'm going to drag and drop it on over to this box. Now, obviously, these black lines are way too long. I'm going to go back into free transform mode, and I'm going to drag these down to a size of my liking. So we will go ahead and take this. We will center it back up, and now we will click enter. Now we have 3 lines within our box. Lastly, I'm going to add the text that says 6x9, 120 page count. So once again, 6x9, 120 page, capital letters, page count. We are going to click enter. And if you have the number pad on your keyboard, you will want to use that enter button. Otherwise, you will go down. Otherwise, you can just click on the text layer and it will unselect it. Now, we will simply drag and drop this over with the move tool, and we are done. All you have to do from this point is go File, Save As, save it to wherever you would like as a Photoshop PDF. Save it as the file name you would like, and click save. So that's where we're going to wrap up this video. I know I personally made this in about 3 minutes without going through the tutorial and explaining everything, but here we are. We went from absolutely nothing and just a simple simple template background from KDP all the way to this within a matter of a few minutes. So hopefully you enjoyed. If you have any questions, please do not hesitate to ask.